What's up, everyone? It's a Knife Style here, and today I'm continuing the series talking about what should be your first Sebenza. So if you don't know the backstory behind this series, basically I remember when I first decided that I was going to start saving up for a Sebenza, I was really excited about it, and then I was like, wait, do I get a large or a small? Do I get inlays? Do I not? Do I get it in single blade or a drop point blade? What do I get? And so I am doing a little bit of series going through all the different types of Sebenzas and saying which one are my favorites, and hopefully that will maybe help make your decision a little bit easier. But one thing that I do want to say is I don't want to make decisions for you guys. You know, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who just want other people to make decisions for them, and the truth is, get whatever you want. If you like the on, if you feel like it appeals to you, get that. I don't really care. So I just want you guys to keep that in mind. Don't think that whatever I say is the best option out there. But anyway, let's get into this video. And it might seem a little bit redundant comparing the small to the large, because people are probably just like, well, if you want a small, get a small. If you want a large, get a large. And well, the issue with me when I was first deciding on what Sebenza to get is that I like big and small knives. Some people prefer one over the other, but I like all kinds of knives. So sorry about the little ramble at the start right there. But as you can see, these knives are pretty different in size. Here, I'll try and line them up to the best I can right there. The large Sebenza is a lot bigger than the small, and I am going to go through the specs here, but I'm going to throw up some size comparisons that hopefully you guys are pretty familiar with. So here's the PM2 and the Para 3 Lightweight. Para 3 Lightweight is the same as the Para 3, but I'm going to read off the specs. I really don't think that specs really do much for me, just hearing them read off, and you guys can always look it up. But since this is comparing the size of two different knives, I will read it off, and excuse my bad handwriting here. But for the small Sebenza, the overall length is 6.875 inches with a blade length of 2.9 inches, a weight of 3 ounces. And for the large Sebenza, the overall length is 8.3 inches with a blade length of 3.6 inches and a weight of 4.7 ounces. So a pretty big difference, especially in weight and in blade length, and I guess in overall length too. So yeah, these are very different knives, and usually when you see a transition from a large version to a small version, they are not as extreme as, you know, this would be. Like, look at the Paramilitary 2 and the Para 3. The Para 3 is probably like a half an inch bigger than the small Sebenza, while the large Sebenza is bigger than the PM2. So it's one of those things where I feel like this is a bigger jump than most companies take, and I feel like for that reason, there's a lot of people who say, oh yeah, I wish they would have like a medium-sized Sebenza, and I would like that too, but I like my large and my small, and if they came out with a medium, I'd probably buy one of those as well. I'm going to throw up a couple more size comparisons. Sorry, I just really want you guys to understand the size difference between all these. And then also one, if you're a budget knife person, the Civivi Elementum is very similar to the small Sebenza in overall size, as you can see here. So I think that's enough for the size comparisons. Let's get into the meat of this video for the blade of these two knives. And the blades on these two are very similar, but there is one thing that you guys probably wouldn't really expect all that much, and that is the stock thicknesses are the same. Let me put this up here, and the reason that these stock thicknesses are the same, the reason I'm showing it like this is because the crown spine kind of gives an optical illusion. But the reason that they're the same is because, you know, Chris Reeve, he wanted to design the Sebenza to be a knife that can really stand up to hard use and last a lifetime. And so he kept the same stock thickness on the small so that it would still be as strong and as durable as the large. And I understand that personally, but I think I can speak for a lot of people who are interested in buying the small when I say that a lot of times I'm just using this for cardboard cutting and tape cutting and not really anything extreme, just basic EDC stuff. And so I don't really need that thick of a stock. And honestly, I would like the stock to be thinner on the small so that it can pass through materials a little bit easier. But keep in mind that the Sebenza is not a bad cutter. It's about 19 thousandths behind the edge with a deep hollow grind, so it passes through materials okay. It's not like a Microtech LEDT or one of my reground ProTech SBR, but it still is a pretty good cutter. So keep in mind that that is a little bit of a nitpick, but personally, like I was just saying, I would like the stock on the small Sebenza to be a little bit smaller because I'm not really using this knife for anything extreme, and so I don't really see the point in making it the thickness that it is. And let me go ahead and get a measurement on that really quick. I don't want to waste too much time pulling out my calipers. Sorry that the lighting's bad. I think my batteries are getting low, but it's about 115 thousandths at the stock. And so yeah, keep that in mind that the stock thicknesses on these two are around the same spot. And even though that they are decent cutters, I wish that the small was a little bit thinner. But like I was just saying, I see why they did that. On to the next category, which is the ergonomics, comparing the two of these. And you guys are probably just going to expect me to say, oh yeah, the large is bigger because it can fit bigger hands. But the truth is they are both very good. But like you would expect, the large is a bit better. But don't sleep on the ergonomics on the small Sebenza. Like, look at this. I can get all 4 fingers on here very easily. My fingers are probably thinner than the average person out there. And so it's one of those things where maybe if you have huge fat fingers, this wouldn't work for you. But honestly, if I choke up as much as I can here, I can still get a little bit extra. Maybe I could probably fit another pinky if I choke all the way up onto this blade. And really, I feel like the ergonomics on the small Sebenza are very good, especially for the size of this knife, how small it is. And with the large, obviously, if you have big hands, you probably don't even need to watch this video. You're probably already going to pick the large. But if you look at this thing, it is very comfortable in my hand. Mine is inlaid, so it's a little bit thicker, and it feels the hand a little bit better. But it still is very comfortable, and I really like the ergos on all Sebenzas. But one thing to keep in mind is the ergos on the small Sebenza are not bad compared to the large. They are both very good. Some of my most comfortable knives in my collection, but I guess I would have to give the ergos to the large, just a little bit more room in your hand. It's a little bit taller in this dimension, so it does fill up more of your palm. So it's one of those things where, yes, the ergos on the large are better, but the small are also very good. Another dimension I want to let you guys know about, I guess this is going to come up now that I'm talking about carry, but I'm just going to measure the thickness of these titanium handle scales. So this is about 390 thousandths on there. I hope my calipers aren't messed up because I don't really remember seeing these measurements, but these are about 450 thousandths. So it is thicker on the handles with the large Sebenza. So keep that in mind, that when you carry it in the pocket, if you are wearing, I don't know, tighter pants, that maybe that will become an issue for you. And I was just measuring on the titanium right there. It is a little bit thicker when you have the inlays on here. So one thing where I think that the small Sebenza really does better in the compared to the large Sebenza is in the carry because of the weight and the size. So the weight of the small is 3 ounces and the large is 4.7 ounces. And I had a Sebenza 31 that I just recently sold. I really like that knife. But I carried it a lot during the summer because that's when I got it. And it was just a little bit too heavy for me to carry in kind of athletic, lightweight shorts. And so for that reason, I'm excited to carry the small Sebenza when the weather becomes a little bit warmer, because I feel like that 3 ounces for a full titanium knife in this good of a pocket clip, and it's very thin and very compact. This is a knife that carries very well. And don't get me wrong, the Sebenza 21 large, it still carries very good, but it's just not as good as the small, just because it's a little bit heavier and it takes up a little bit more room. These knives both have the same pocket clip if you're interested, both the exact same size. It's one of my favorite and most functional clips out there in my opinion. A lot of people switch it out because they think it's ugly. You know, I don't think it's the best looking thing in the world, but it's probably the most functional and my favorite clip. So yeah, the small Sebenza really beats it out with the carry. So if you are someone who carries your knives in more sweatpants or shorts, or maybe you wear like tighter pants, I don't know, maybe the small Sebenza is the one for you. But yeah, I will be honest with you guys, even though I like both of these, and I probably like this configuration more just because I like the inlays on it, the small Sebenza is what finds its way into my pocket a lot more. And so keep that in mind, because even though I'm saying these and it's going through and I'm like, oh yeah, I like the large more, because on paper you do like it more, but I don't really know why the small Sebenza finds its way into my pocket a lot more. And it's a lot more enjoyable to carry. Now, I still do use both of these. I use this large Sebenza a lot around the house, and I actually lost a knife earlier this year if you're new to my channel, and so I haven't really wanted to bring out a $550 knife into the public because I'm afraid of losing it. But anyway, the small Sebenza is still what finds its way in my pocket more than just comparing these two. But for the value, the last part of this video, a plain Jane large Sebenza 21 is $450, and then a small or wait, I said 21. It's the same 21 and 31. And then the small Sebenza 21 and 31 in the plain Jane configuration, which is this bead blasted titanium with the blue accents and a single thumb stud. That is about $375, I'm pretty sure. And so there's about a $75 difference. And one thing that I just kind of want to warn you guys about is I feel like a lot of people gravitate towards the small as their first Sebenza just because it's cheaper. And my thought is that if you're doing that, I would honestly suggest just to save up a little bit more money and get the large. Once again, I really am in no position, or I don't really have the right to tell you guys how to spend your money. But if you know you want the large and you get the small just to save $75, I wouldn't suggest that. I don't think many people will do that, but I very well could see that, thought going into their head. And the truth is, I've learned this the hard way, but eventually you'll buy the large and then you'll have to sell the small because you might like the large more. I don't know. I'm just making this up. But eventually you will lose more money than if you just saved up a little bit more and bought the more expensive one in the first place. So that is the price difference on those two. And now I guess for the conclusion, what I like more, what I would suggest more comparing the large and the small, I would go with the large, and here's why. So comparing these two knives, I would take this one, but even if this was a plain version with no inlays, I still would take that one, just because I feel like a Sebenza, even though it's probably not as practical for me to carry around this big of a knife with me every day of the year, a Sebenza, I don't mean to seem like a cringy review that every single person puts out when they review their first Sebenza, but Sebenza does mean work, and this is a very capable, very strong, very effective and useful tool right here. And so it's one of those things where I feel like when you get the large version of the Sebenza, you're getting the full potential of it, and really, it seems like if you were going to hard use your Sebenza, you'd probably already go with the large from the start. The only way I could see you going with the small is maybe you wear lighter weight clothes when you do yard work or something, and so a small Sebenza, it being lighter and smaller, it would be a little bit more compact and easier to carry. But I feel like I would go with the large because you're getting the full potential of a Sebenza, the full strength combined with the full size grip and that large cutting edge. I feel like you're really maxing out the Sebenza's potential. So that's going to do it for the video. Once again, thanks for watching the small. I really love this small knife. It's one of my favorites, but that is just, I guess, how this video is going to end. I would go with the large. Even my suggestion to you, if you know you like small knives, go with the small. It is smaller than I thought it would be when I first got it, but after I held it in hand, I knew that it was a perfect size for me in EDC because I could get a 4-finger grip on it. But yeah, overall, I would say if you are torn between the small and the large, I would say go with the large just because you're getting that full potential and the full strength and character of the Sebenza model itself. So I hope that made sense. That's going to do it for the video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.